Hey Tina, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight how I do research when I see something like this. When I see my assignment, I start picking out the keywords and I sort of start outlining them a different way. My brain way or your way may, have no value one over the other, but so I started taking apart your piece, thinking about Erickson, and then as a search thing, do people do Ericksons with apostrophe S, just Eric with Eric? Again, this person seems to have a couple of different, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I'll probably have to. This person has a couple of different theories. So I kind of wrote down the ones that I found and figured out it must be this one. And I found an ebook in one of the collections had a piece on it. From what you've given me, I don't know what your professor needs or how long this has to be. I don't know if you're looking for a scholarly article or just support to the reading material you have in the course. An ebook is not a scholarly article, but it is a credible source. So I just kind of put it up there and we're going to just keep wondering. So another thing it has to do with humans. And of course, then I started searching the search terms of things I found, and I found these different ideas. Like when you're doing research on this to narrow it down, you have the concept of generations, adults, whether or not they're male or female, and also race issues also play a factor in with this. I just happened to find this one article. I think I have it attached below. But you can keep adding to this and the different sections and ideas as well. But these are all different search terms that you can use when you go into the database to narrow it, to find things like what you're working on or other things. Well, you have two really big things. You'll see, actually, this is as far as I got with the research because I felt like, wow, I think I have quite enough. And sometimes this happens, like when you kind of outline what you need, the topics you're working on, then you start doing your research, and then you start finding some pieces, and from the pieces you take the keywords. I'm going to show you all of this, by the way. You're like, oh, I think I finally cracked it. And here, I think I cracked the code for this search pretty rapidly. And you'll see how I did it. I came down here, and this says something. The only thing I didn't really understand was synthesizing the theories on this part of it. As I was didn't know, do we need to look up other theories or something like that? Let me go back up there and read that because that was the only thing I couldn't. Include a discussion on what mental health conditions I consider when working on clients. Okay, I think some of these articles may do this. One of the things you may consider is gender. A thing you may consider is race. A thing you may consider is quilting. You're like, what? Quilting? Yes, Tina, quilting. I was very excited when I found this quilting article, by the way, because I don't know, I love research, so when I find stuff, I'm like, what? So what I did here is I showed you the searches that I just did the two searches, and I came up with 5 things that are pretty good. If you only need 1 or 2 things, that was kind of overkill, so I just want to show you how I found these and what they may look like. So I'm going to bring you over here to my handy dandy computer. We're going to go to I'm going to have to keep inside this little narrow thing I built. Go to the library, and actually we can do this. Your discipline covers a lot of things. Health, education, psychology, sociology, and all this. So as a librarian, I really like it when I see things interacting across the disciplinary way, which brings up things like quilts. I know, you're like, quilts, Rhonda. You're getting very excited about these quilts. So I think, particularly for this topic, this is not too big of a basket to go into. So, EBSCO article databases. The first search that I did was excuse me, you'll see things start filling in as I type. Erickson's. They're not going to help me out, are they? I don't know. I had to put that. But you know what? I could have put this. I'm going to use this a couple of times. When you put the asterisk, it takes care of the suffixes that may come. So here where you see I put middle age, because I did find quite a few things on older age and children. This will get age, ages, and aged. So when you put these in, it's going to increase your search results and find other variations of your words as they appear on the end. Though sometimes I've needed a prefix one, this is worked out most of the time. And I thought this first article may or may not be useful. One of the reasons it may be useful because the last part of your piece about theories and models, it does mention Freud. So that might be a very good article for you. I'm going to go down further. Revisiting Erickson's views on women. Erickson didn't understand midlife women. That may be a very interesting point of view in terms of your project as well. It may not be that you can go all 25 of these directions, but you may be able to answer the question within this area. So when I'm looking at these pieces, I am taking these things, I'm taking these back to that paper that I first showed you, and I'm building my search terms because they're just not good for this database, they're good for the other ones as well. So we're going to see all sorts of cool things here. And you're like, Rhonda, you didn't do some things that I've seen done before probably. I'm like, yes. This is really a pretty rich database search, so I did not. But if it was a, say, a discussion post over something it's going to be due in a few weeks, I would select for full text because I really need to get to it now. If you're working on the long term, when you see something that says look for full text, when you click on this, sometimes it resolves to full text, or sometimes it suggests that you put in an interlibrary loan. Now, when you fill this out the first time, you'll create a little account, and from there, I apologize, you'll be able to order things. You just need that, like, if you need it in 2 weeks, this is a good idea. Other than that, stick with what you can find now and do the other. Now, the other decision you'll need to make is whether it needs to be scholarly or peer-reviewed. I didn't select this. You may want to, because I can pretty much tell it's in an academic journal. It has more than 5 pages, has a digital object identifier. You can see here, let me move this over. Like I can see this is going to almost be 11 pages. It's in the database Psych Info. I see some images. I pretty much already know that it's scholarly. And if your assignment didn't call for that, I didn't want to take those out, but you can do that here as well. Oftentimes your professor will say that you should use the past 3 to 5 years. Your topic is about from a person that's been, well, he's kind of an older gentleman. When I say, I think he's passed on, but I'm saying he's worked in the history, so I'm not sure something from 1976 is bad for this particular search. Based on what your professor may have told you, that may not be true, and you may need to have the last 5 years, at which point you just slide this up, and this will fix that search. So when you go in here, make sure you know where all the goodies are. Suppose you're interested in this. The first thing you do is you do not use the just the abstract. You need to read the whole thing. That's very important. Sometimes there's more search terms here. Sometimes they're more current. Sometimes you'll see something called author-provided search terms or keywords, and those are great because sometimes if a concept is changing its name, there's been so many concepts, and all of our professions have changed names. It might give you a hint of other things to search for that may be connected to it. The HTML full text is just the information below here, but the PDF has all the images, the text, and all the other things that you'll need to look at. When you click on it here, you'll be able to see it full text. Now, you were in my APA class, so you know what you're looking for. This introduction is going to be primarily articles that they read and referrals and attributions and things like this. It's kind of a literature survey. So when you're citing this, you'll actually be citing the pieces that fall below that are the author's own words and findings. This one is kind of interesting because it has actual case remarks, cases, and where they were in talking about theories. So it was kind of an interesting piece. I did not read it all, by the way, but I did read a little bit. The guy's name was Dougie. I'm thinking a middle-aged guy named Dougie. I'm not so sure about. So I'm going over here, and we have cite. And we're going to go to APA, and you'll be able to copy this, but copy and correct it. But I think if you just clean out, oh, did not mean for that to happen. If you just clean out this bit here, it's going to be close. I'd still go to Crossref to get a clean one, but this is pretty much correct and ready to roll. So there's that. I am not going to other databases because this one was really good. I'll be glad to do some things on other databases. But really the one that was really, I thought, maybe particularly good was two of the keywords that were in your question itself, which was I don't know how to say it right. Generativity? Generativity? And if you don't spell it right, you will have very poor search results. Generative. And you see, it already has it. These are kind of easy and they're all different. You're like, I need to hit all of these and put an or between them and get them all. But I was lazy. I just kind of picked this and went to the search. And thankfully it pulled it together and actually see kind of some interestingness. That might be interesting, especially if it talks about other theories and compares it to him. Just a parade or marching in place. Good to know. There's some really good ones in here, and you'll see most of them are available to you now in full text. But one of the ones I really kind of enjoyed, it's 12 pages long, it has charts, and it talks about quilting as a tool in resolving Erickson's adult stage of human development. Now, I'm not sure where it is about looking for articles that gets you. I will tell you, mine is, oh my gosh, look, it's shiny. And this is so shiny, like quilting? What? But it may be a way when you're working on your assignment to illustrate the stages of development and some of the things that people use to reach these different development stages or places in their life that you're considering. So this may give you a beautifully illustrated piece that's actual research. And I did include that over here. I'm not going to go in deeper and tell you 20 other things to do for this particular piece, because this really nailed it. And all I did was kind of pull these words, the keywords, out of your question, and I think it's going to answer quite a bit. You probably don't need 5 or 6 articles, but if you do, you might want to look at these. Now, when I did these, let's see, I put they're called permanent URLs. They're not the piece here, but they're underneath each article here. Now, if you're signed into the library and you put these in one of your tabs, these should resolve. But if not, you should be able to copy, paste, and do the like just a title search. By the way, this is not correct. Nothing should be capitalized here, but the first word, the N in Erickson. Just saying. So, I didn't correct these. I just kind of wanted to put them in there so you had the full information. They are not right. Copy and correct. So anyway, I hope this was useful. I see that I'm at 12 minutes, maybe 13, and I hope this helped you out. Let me know if it did or did not work. I'm going to send you, I was over here. I am sorry. When I was trying to tell you about these things here, I apologize. These are the permanent links. Copy and paste this in another tab after you've signed into Campus Common, and they should resolve. If you get like a little wheel with a bunch of colors that ask you for a sign-in, they did not resolve. And just go to that search I showed you and put this title in, and you should find it pretty easily. So anyway, I hope all this helps. If it did not help, write me back why it did not help, or what other concerns you have, or some other things you want me to show you. This is just one database. We have 100, but there's at least 10, probably 8 strong ones that would be really good for this. So let me know how this worked.